summer recording happened so slow. I met a virus and I went,
that made me
oh
blow.
no.
Oh, okay.
Tell me more.
Tell me more.
I tried
tell
to look
me
up
more.
the lyrics to that song beyond just the beginning, and I could not be bothered to come up with better parody lyrics than that.
That was a good start.
Welcome back, everybody, to a whole new pod, a podcast all about Disney Channel original movies.
DCOMs.
I am your bad, low-rent Weird Al Yankovic host, Lucas Melby.
I'm your other host, Jacob Telejohn.
And it's been a while.
It's been a while.
We've already done that for one episode.
That's okay.
But it's honestly something that we could do for every single episode. This is true for anybody. Everybody can be like, oh, this happened, and then this happened this year, but it does seem to line up with our podcast
Everything
episodes
happens.
where we record one, and then it's like, oh, coronavirus pops up, and right after we recorded the last one was when, not to get too real, but the George Floyd murder happened, and then all of that has escalated from there. But some people out there went on, the blackouts to be like, hey, we want important voices to be heard, and I'm all for that, and I'd like to say that was the excuse why we didn't record, but we just were lazy.
We can say that was our excuse why we
Actually, I had somebody extra staying at my house, and he stayed in the room we usually record in, and
Yes,
he was here for
that is true.
He was here for a month, my brother, that is, so...
Shout out, Caleb.
I don't think he listens anymore.
That's okay.
But he literally left the morning of the day we were recording, so... We're getting back on it as soon as we could without inconveniencing too many people around us.
True. Facts.
And speaking of try not to inconvenience
Lucas is not wearing a mask.
Yeah, well, this is true, but I still am treating coronavirus seriously. Not everybody around me is. Not saying like Jacob necessarily, but we tried to ease back our own lockdown restrictions a bit and bring back somebody who hasn't been around us or the podcast in quite a while. Now is our good friend Sam.
Sam, ma'am.
Who I think I hadn't seen in person probably in
3 or 4 months.
Yeah, since February or March.
Isn't that crazy?
And I was planning for the public record to put out there, and I'll do it on this podcast, that Sam owes me and Telejohn
$5.
$5 for the Royal Rumble.
Oh, shit, that's right.
But,
man.
And we had a couple of Zoom hangouts with their friend group.
That's crazy though, 4 months. It feels like that, but it doesn't.
I just don't have enthusiasm or motivation to do much of anything. But getting to why Sam is not actually here, why we're talking about him so much, is he came over. We were watching the movie we're going to watch today, which we'll get to the name of that very shortly, but he... must have eaten something. He was eating a Subway sandwich when we were watching the movie, and he got an upset stomach.
He's blowing it out of his
He had some tummy and maybe some other issues going on, so he had to bow out, which is kind of a bummer, but...
He left his hat, he left his drink, he left his food.
Hey, man, I've been in situations where you just gotta get out, so...
He didn't want to destroy Lucas's bathroom, so he went to destroy his parents' bathroom.
Yeah. But we wish him all the best, and hopefully he'll feel better, and we'll find some other movie down the line to bring him back for.
Yeah.
But we wanted him to be on this episode, but
it
wasn't part of the reason why it took us so long.
He made it like a half an hour.
Yeah.
About a half an hour.
We'll get into in the discussion, but I would have been fine to bow out during that. And without going too much more into real-world stuff, but I'd like to acknowledge it for whatever it's worth. I'll just... say a little bit here and probably leave it at that, but Black Lives Matter, and maybe it's a hot take, but I don't think the police should be able to kill people indiscriminately.
I don't think that's a hot take at all.
Well, for some people it might be. Hey, play stupid games, get stupid prizes. Oh, I'm sorry. Are the police judge, jury, and executioner? All right, that's enough.
Oh my god.
We
just lost our whole subscriber base, 62 unsubscriptions.
If you've gotten to the point,
very tilted.
I'm pretty sure in our first episode, I remember talking about in Under Wraps when they go to the museum and some cops show up, and I'm like, wow, at least those cops don't have their guns drawn immediately or whatever. So you could have picked up on some of this stuff since the
day
genesis
one
of our podcast.
A1.
We'll try to keep the real world out too much because There are plenty of people talking about it, people far more important and with much more well-informed and nuanced opinions than us. So we'll say what we think we're experts about, which is
Disney Channel original movies.
And some might even dispute that. So the movie we watched today, the third DCOM sequel we've had, we had Xenon Z2.
The sequel.
And the very unexpected jumping
ship
with horse sense. But I would say probably this might have been at the time the most anticipated sequel.
Popular one.
Which, based on the original movie, is still baffling to me. And quite honestly, based on the YouTube numbers we have for that episode, I guess I thought people really liked this series.
And my guess is there's just so much Halloweentown on YouTube that it's just, ours is kind of buried. I was talking to somebody about that at work the other day. I was telling them about, what our videos are getting, and then how the ones we think should be the best are kind of our worst. But I think it's because they're just kind of
exceptions,
watered down.
Halloweentown really is the one that I'm most surprised is so low. But yes, Halloweentown 2, Kalabar's Revenge is what we watched today. And looking back, Halloweentown was the 4th episode we did.
Wow.
And I think we ended up releasing that on Christmas Eve, the first year we started doing the podcast.
We had some really good ones out of the gate there, though. Like some, I should say, like some original, cornerstone DCOMs.
Yeah, but most of them were not good.
That's why I retracted my statement.
The first 4 movies we watched, I think only one of them was good, and that was Brink. The other 2... Well, I like Under Wraps well enough, but I did not like You Lucky Dog or Halloweentown at all.
No.
So it's been a while since we watched that. It's been a while in the real world since that movie was made. Halloweentown was 1998, and this one was released 2001. But I think it seems like they're actually fairly well reserved with their sequels for Halloweentown, because we'll get Halloweentown High, I think another 3 years after this one. And then I think Return to Halloweentown might even be like 5 years after that one or something. They know what to come back to, but after watching this movie, I think the Halloweentown well has come up dry already. They seem to lack creativity.
I still get the nostalgic feel watching them, but I don't know why they were that big of a deal. Maybe just Halloween. Kids just love Halloween. People like the monsters and stuff, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I like Halloween and like watching... mostly scary movies, or Halloween themed.
So maybe this is just, I don't know, is this a movie you think you would have enjoyed when you were 10? Or 7, 8?
It's hard for me to say.
Yeah. I know I enjoyed the original series when I first watched them. That was one of my favorite DCOM series as a kid.
But what happened in the first Halloweentown? Well, luckily, if you forgot, they tell you right away at the beginning of this movie.
Right in the middle of the title card.
Recap where...
And it hides it. Usually the title cards are, fun, and they're they make some, but it's like a small little text, while they're talking about what
happens is Marnie is narrating, 1 year ago, they show a little bit my grandma's a witch, and we went to Halloweentown. Oh, here's the title card. Kalabar's Revenge. Moving on with this. Any normal movie, if you have a recap, it's fine. It's a little kind of whatever. I've recently watched the Friday the 13th movies. The second movie basically shows the first movie's last 10 to 15 minutes at the beginning. This isn't that bad, but it's still you show the recap, then you show the title card. But this is the title card right in the middle. It was just very awkward.
Yes.
And Marnie is narrating, for the help of the listeners, we'll go into... Marnie is a half-witch. Her grandmother, Aggie, played by...
Is half-bitch.
No.
Or the mother is.
The mother is all bitch.
Half. Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you.
I mean, in my perspective, I would say Marnie is all bitch, but the movie wants us to be the mom is the one that sucks, because it was all... The mom is a witch, but she married a human, and then she doesn't want Marnie to become
Which made Marnie a twitch.
Not yet. We'll get to Twitch and Twitches 2 or whatever that one is. Twitch is the second. So it's like 13th Year, all the ones where you hit a certain age, you become a leprechaun, you become a witch. They go to Halloweentown, which is pretty boring. It looks like a party city just spread out across the town. There's the villain who ends up being... this guy that the mom used to know named Kalabar.
Used to date, I think.
And he's very late in the movie revealed to be this guy who's freezing inhabitants of Halloweentown.
Yeah.
And really his goal, I thought, seemed fairly reasonable, that the magical beings of Halloweentown are relegated to the town. and they're separate from the human world. They just want to be able to go back to the real world. That's what I remember it being.
Yeah.
I think it was retconned in this one a little bit that his goal was that they wanted the Halloweentown residents to rule over the mortal world.
How would they do that by doing the exact opposite?
I don't know. But they seal Kalabar within a sphere of magic or whatever.
Yeah.
Through the family's ability of...
Spectre? No. Spectre.
I mean, he looked like a specter at times. But the family, the Cromwells, they use their combined magical power. Yeah. So we got Grandma Aggie, Mom,
Bakey McPherson,
Sophie the youngest, who
Dylan.
They really played up her being extremely
She's really powerful
in the first movie.
She still had some of that in this one. We just didn't see enough. It was more like a Marnie kind of story.
But it's not really the progression you would have expected in like a normal sequel.
She was, I mean, well, they said, like the people that could cast that special door were only the grandmother and Sophie.
And Dylan is the middle brother.
Who doesn't like to...
Who does have magic powers. He's a warlock, though,
doesn't like to
that's
use
a male
them.
witch. But yeah, he
doesn't like magic or Halloween.
That's how it goes in this movie.
Yes.
And then Marnie finishes her recap by saying, well, I've been thinking about Halloweentown. And then we see that she's in her room on a computer on a site called Ghoul Chat.
What makes her the...
If you couldn't pick up from her just being in a chat room on a computer, she's a bit of a computer whiz. She knows all of the back doors that computers have. USB, Ethernet.
Back doors.
So this chat room, based on the name Ghoul Chat, you would think, oh, maybe this is like a Halloweentown Mortal World group chat or chat room type thing. It's apparently not, and she's talking to a chatter named Girl Power with lots of R's, and she makes another offhanded narration comment that Mom and Grandma have been fighting. And what have they been fighting about? I guess it's related because it's Halloween night again, as they said, a year away from the original movie. So
it's like the night just never ended.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just keep rolled over.
My nightmare is continuing. And they're just having a giant party at their house with a bunch of kids running around. Dylan's handing out candy, but he's not wearing a costume because I guess Halloween's lame.
Nor a condom.
And I guess the mom is mad at Grandma. She doesn't really seem that mad. Like in the first movie, they definitely had an argument.
Because she's pulling the brooms out of the bag.
Yeah, that she's just like, oh, I wish we didn't have to have this party, which I can't really blame her. Those kids probably going to be knocking over vases or something. Why didn't we have that movie where the mom's like, oh no, running around?
It might come.
So then Grandma, as Jacob said, she's got her bottomless bay where she's just pulling out lots of cool stuff for the kids.
Yeah.
But then she sneaks away to her magic room because we also should mention that the grandma was going to stay with the family for a year at the end of Halloweentown 1. And then I guess now she's going to be leaving soon. But in her room, she has a crystal ball, which is just a viewing place for
she can just
people.
Creep on people.
Yeah, people in Halloweentown.
Like, how do they know they're being watched? Can she look at them whenever she wants?
So Sophie comes in and say, hey, Grandma, what's going on? And she's seeing all these different residents of Halloweentown, which I think was mostly new footage. It wasn't old stuff, because at least my memory serves as a lot of the costumes and creatures in the original movie were kind of lame. But there is some
better
still very rubbery looking monsters, but they look better.
And then
we meet one of the characters that's new. Yes, is Gort.
Gort.
Who Grandma goes on about, oh, he's... For a second, I wasn't sure if she was actually seeing real people or if this was like she was tapping into Halloweentown TV shows or something. But Gort is
dirty,
troll,
smelly
but
man.
The trolls in Halloweentown are just humans with pointy ears, pretty much.
Yeah.
And he lives, and he's kind of the denizen of lost things. So if you lose a sock or
anything goes to him.
It ends up at his house.
Yeah.
And I guess he's really smelly and stinky, and everybody hates him.
Because he's grumpy.
That's weird. Why would she just make this offhanded comment about this character? I doubt he comes back and plays a pivotal role in this movie. Then Marnie, we get to see, is talking with her mom when just out of nowhere we meet heartthrob Cal and his British dad Alex who come in and, oh, hello, we just moved into the neighborhood and we saw this kickin' party. This is the British dad, Alex.
Yes.
I brought ice cream. Do you like lime?
Or do you like lime? I got 2.
He's got 2-gallon buckets of lime ice cream, and I don't think lime ice cream is a thing. I'm pretty sure that would be a sherbet or a sorbet or whatever you want to call it.
And I think the only reason is because they were green, and we'll get to that later.
But then Marnie is immediately taken with Cal.
She is dropping her panties. She is taking him to her bedroom.
They're flying away like bats.
The secret lair.
Which, in the pantheon of teen boys and DCOM movies, he's pretty cute.
He's an attractive-looking young man.
He's he's between like Greg and Greg, of course. Everybody remembers Greg from Xenon 1 and Cornrows Boy from the Poof.
No.
So, in a very normal thing for somebody to do when they just enter your house, not invited, Cal asks Marnie for a tour of their house.
Yeah.
So it could have been, he wants a tour of the party. So Marnie first shows, here's the party. But then they go up to Marnie's bedroom and, whoa, this is moving pretty
fast.
Quick.
Yes.
And Cal is putting the moves on because he says, this is your room? I thought it would look more like the owner, but this doesn't seem like you at all. So then Marnie's like, oh yeah? Well, check out this move. And she opens the door to Grandma's special magic room, which is...
and I was trying to wonder if she did that before he came out of the bedroom. I don't think he saw her do it. And that's what I was thinking, because I'm like, I don't think
we should say that Grandma's room, when people that aren't part of the family around, is disappeared.
Well, it was visible, and then was it Sophie that maybe made the remark to Grandma, like, hey, Mom doesn't like you.
So it has to be summoned by magic to first appear. Yes. So I guess Marnie summons it when Cal is still in her room, and he doesn't see it.
Yeah, but they do make the remark later on, that like, only Grandma and Sophie know how to do that.
Well, I think it's just they don't know. Dylan can't do it because he doesn't know the spell.
Oh,
he would be able to do it if he knew the spell.
And they just assume that Marnie doesn't know it either, then?
Dylan just doesn't care to know the words. But Marnie and Sophie and Grandma can all do it.
Gotcha.
And probably even Mom, maybe. But then she takes Cal into the magic room, and Cal is very chill about everything, probably because he didn't see the door appear, but it's still like... He just thinks or he's at least playing it off that he thinks everything is
after
fake.
We know who he is... Or, we learn more about him.
Because the movie's not trying to hide, this movie's called Kalabar's Revenge, and this character's called Cal.
Yeah. So after we find out more about him, it, makes sense why he's not all like, oh, wow, ooh,
but
my God.
It's distinct because in the credits of the movie, Cal is spelled with a C. So how could we possibly see the relation?
Wow. Yeah, but you get a vibe that he's not really, amazed by all this cool stuff. He's just kind of like,
he thinks it's fake, or at least he's playing it off as he thinks it's fake.
He's a
then
faker.
He sees the Book of Spells, and he wants to go touch it. But Barney's like, no! Oh, why? It's just fake, isn't it? Yeah, but my grandma, I guess, is pretty, serious about this stuff.
Yeah.
So Marnie's like, okay, follow me, let's get out of here. She leaves, but before Cal leaves, he waves his hand over the spell book, using the coolest spell ever of making things a bit smaller, so then he takes the spell book and leaves.
Yes.
Back in the party, Dylan is trying to hit on some girls his age, but they think he's lame because he's not wearing a costume. Yeah. But he is reasonably suave and charming, which I don't think is fitting for Dylan.
No.
But it doesn't work on the girls. They turn him down. And then Cal is talking to Marnie, and Cal, for somebody who just moved there, is very up-to-date on all of the hip happenings in town. Yeah. Says, isn't there a costume party happening? I'd like you to come and wear something cool.
I'll
pick you up.
He had it all figured out. The whole movie comes full circle now that we see it. We understand why things were done.
Sure. It's also not that grand of a plan.
It's not that deep.
So then Cal says, I'll come back for you to go to the costume party. And Cal exits the house, goes up to the bus stop for Halloweentown, because in the first movie they get picked up by a bus to go there.
Yes.
Which I guess is the bus stop is just there all the time for people to see. And he says something, some kind of magical gobbledygook. And then creates a portal. So I don't know why he needs to even be by the bus stop to do this portal, but then he goes through. And we're like, he's magic. Couldn't have seen that coming. So then Aggie is giving some items from her bottomless bag out to kids, but then there's nothing else in there. It's hit bottom. But magic should make it always keep going.
Yep, that's what Sophie says.
So Aggie is immediately taken aback and thinks there's something amiss.
Wonder what's going on.
So she's like, oh shit, let's go to Halloweentown. And then she's going to take Sophie and Marnie because Dylan doesn't want to go.
And then Dylan doesn't want to go, so...
Basically,
is this when the mom goes on with the...
So Aggie goes and tries to convince the mom just not to go to Halloweentown, but she just wants to take the girls out. The mom says, no, it's too late, Sophie. You have to go to bed. I guess, Marnie, you can go because the mom is talking to British dad and she doesn't want to come off like a bitch.
And British dad wants her to go to the dance.
Yeah, that comes up later, too.
Okay.
So, yes, Marnie gets to slip out with Aggie, but Dylan is sticking behind and watching over Sophie, and the mom is still flirting with British dad.
Yeah. Is he dressed in costume yet?
No.
Not yet.
Before they leave, they give Dylan a headphone. What's a headphone? Well, it's just like your cell phone, but it's a head.
It's literally a shrunken head that was pink or blue.
There was a reddish pinkish one and a blue one. That I guess they couldn't use cell phones because cell phones don't get reception in Halloweentown.
Yes.
Because it's in a different dimension or
so
whatever.
You gotta use the head.
So this connects the two worlds, and the mouths of the heads sometimes move to talk like the person speaking through it.
That's kind of cool. It's fun little gimmick.
It's good world building. Yeah. It really makes Halloweentown feel more fleshed out.
Exactly. That's what I was saying.
Except it's something that Aggie had invented, so apparently nobody else would have it in Halloweentown.
I guess I missed that little tidbit.
Yeah, so it's not as fun then, thinking that everybody's walking around with a shrunken head inside their pocket.
Shame.
So then they exit, and hot British dad talks to mom.
Did we ever say he was hot?
The mom thinks he's hot.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe, those accents sometimes, it's makes
the accent. She's melting for the accent.
Yeah, I mean, he's got British teeth, but at least the mouth is still producing the accent.
Let's talk about British teeth now. That's a whole different discussion.
So he knows about the costume party as well, and I don't know. A lot of this movie, I was like, okay, I get the idea of what this is supposed to be, and I kind of just tune out the words that were being said. He's kind of, I'd like to see you in something sexy. He doesn't say that, but that's kind of...
Is this when he gives her the mask?
Yeah, I think he does give it to her, or... Yeah, he convinces her to come to the dance.
And it's a creepy-looking weird mask.
Yeah, it's not hot at all.
No.
And it's a mask, so it covers her face.
Yes, key there. Very important.
That is key. Then Marty and Grandma try to go to Halloweentown, but the bus stop is gone now. Because I guess Cal, with his magic spell, maybe also took the bus stop away. But no worries. The rules don't really matter at all.
Aggie does whatever the hell she wants.
That is the theme of this movie, is rules don't matter.
Yes, that is. They make a whole scene about that.
So they just summon a portal to Halloweentown.
So why did they ever use the bus?
Because the first movie had rules, and they just want to ignore them here. So they summon the portal, and it's just a gateway type thing with two big doors that open. But on the top is a timer that is counting down about 4 hours, which is to midnight in the human world, because I think in the original movie, you can only cross over between the worlds with the bus. But yeah, the whole fucking first movie, they had to get to the bus, but the bus wasn't running. But they could just do portals at any time. Oh my gosh. I just
don't think about it too hard.
I don't even like Halloweentown, but this movie makes me
think about it too hard.
Because it's like nothing in Halloweentown mattered, so that makes me dislike this movie because it's like I wasted my time.
Well, not you wasted your time. They wasted their time.
Well, they wasted my time.
By wasting their time.
We wasted the listeners' time. We could have
had so much more action, Jackson, with the buses running.
Reminds me of Rise of Skywalker even more. It won't be the only time I compare it to Rise of Skywalker, this movie. Yeah, the timer is counting down that, if the timer hits midnight, then we can't cross back over to the mortal world, I guess. But then they also bring up that time in Halloweentown runs longer than the human world. But
yes, that doesn't seem the case, because they end up having like 4 hours.
So it's 4 hours that they have in the human world. We don't exactly know how much time.
So from the first movie, weren't they like only gone like an hour, but it ended up being like weeks or like days?
It was like a day or two, I think.
Yeah.
So that's what they said. It's not exactly a hard science, but there is an extended time where it's like 4 hours could be 4 days or 4 weeks or whatever. But that just goes out the window with basically everything else in this movie.
No rules.
Yeah. So they cross over to Halloweentown, but hey, this looks like a much
Schindler's.
better movie. This looks like a serious movie because it's all gray with some color coming through.
Only orange.
Yes, so it's all gray
mostly.
and boring. And we see the inhabitants of Halloweentown just shuffling around, looking like...
some guy's like sweeping with a shovel.
Yes.
Oh, and also the pumpkin is turned to stone.
Yes, that is actually kind of a neat thing that, the pumpkin, giant jack-o'-lantern that was at the center of the Halloweentown square, which played a role in the final part of the original movie.
Candle lit.
What's more boring than a pumpkin? Just
a
stone.
block.
Block of bricks. And the inhabitants of Halloweentown are shuffling around looking like, and this won't be the only time I reference Twin Peaks in this episode, but Twin Peaks The Return, the God of Light guy, that they're just all like soot covered and they're just supposed to be boring, but Marnie and Grandma still have full color of their skin and their clothes. Some inhabitants have orange.
Yes.
Which is never really explained, but I guess just
the Halloween color.
Yeah, it's a Halloween color and it's a little more exciting than just...
And we don't know, we don't necessarily know why the gray's happening, but Aggie finds a girl that she knows and she's talking to her. And she looks down at her shoes, and they are orange, but poof, they turn to like a dull,
yes. And she was a character
shoe.
that we had seen in the Crystal Ball, and she had long ears and more creature-like features, and now she just looks like a normal person.
Yeah, they're turning into humans.
Speaking of humans, who's that? Is that Luke?
Luke.
Marnie's love interest from the first movie that they really forced to be in a love interest,
who turned
even though he was like Grima Wormtongue to Kalabar in that movie. But now she's just dropped him for Cal, which is fine. It just shows that he was not a good love interest.
And she acted like she didn't even know who he was.
Well, it's because this is what it is he looks like he did when he worked for Kalabar, which Kalabar made him look hot.
Turns to
So Marnie's like, it can't be you, Luke, because you're attractive right now, and you're supposed to be an ugly troll person.
Yes. And he's like, whatever.
Yeah, he's just...
Whatever.
He's supposed to be
Is that what he was saying?
Boring and whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, he says whatever constantly, but...
Whatever.
He just is a teenager then. That doesn't necessarily show oh no, he has no magic in him because he's just like,
whatever.
Eat my shorts. Everybody is humans because as we mentioned, we already saw one elfin type feature person turn more human. So and we don't see hardly anybody that are creatures. Everybody just looks like a human. So Grandma she kind of puts together that, hey, people are losing their magic, which means they aren't looking like creatures anymore.
So they look like humans because humans are boring.
So they call Dylan on the headphone, which I guess still has magic power to work.
Yes.
And she says, Dylan, go into my room and find my spell book so I can get a spell off. I gotta get a spell off. And so Dylan, with the assistance of Sophie, goes and opens up Grandma's room, but... because Cal took it, the spell book is missing.
Yes.
So, are we about to be on a long journey to find a MacGuffin? Kind of like in Halloweentown 1, and very much like The Rise of Skywalker. But at least unlike The Rise of Skywalker, it's just one MacGuffin, not two. They want to return to the real world to try to investigate where the spell book went, Marnie and Grandma that is, but they can't. And then we hear the voice of Cal come in, and he's just like, you're fucking dumb as shit. And they're like, where is that coming from? And
wall.
We get the dramatic pan reveal that Cal's giant head.
Or was it coming from the block?
It
the
was
pumpkin
protruding from the block.
The pumpkin block,
the pumpkin block.
Yes.
Which is actually kind of neat. But the reveal is just his face there. He's not saying anything. He's just closed lips for 5 to 10 seconds. So it just looked really goofy. And this is where it is revealed that if you couldn't put it together, Cal is Kalabar's son.
Yes.
Kalabar had a son? What? Emperor Palpatine had a child who eventually gave birth to Rey? That seems pretty dumb and thrown together. Well, you're not wrong, because wasn't a big part of Kalabar's character in the first movie is that he wanted to get with Marnie's mom?
Yeah.
But I guess he had a wife already and divorced her. But still was around enough that his son liked him.
Yeah.
So
and wanted to get revenge.
So I am not going to lie. I am disappointed that, as dumb as it would be, that how do we make a sequel to Halloweentown?
It should have been...
we got to bring back the villain from the first movie. Well, Kalabar is not in it, but having it be his kid just is so.
It should have been.
It's so Disney Channel.
Should have been the mother's bastard child that she threw away. That she didn't want.
Sam was still around when we were watching this part of the movie, and Sam was thinking that Cal was going to be Kalabar come back,
younger,
hitting on Marnie, which would obviously be extremely problematic.
He makes that comment though, doesn't he? Like, I knew
I inherited my father's attraction
for the
to
Cromwell blood.
Yes.
Hello, what?
Okay.
Yikes.
And he's also carried on his dad's worldview, which is where I just didn't fully remember it or read between the lines, but he says that his dad wanted to free the Halloweentown inhabitants, which is why I was confused why the residents of Halloweentown in the first movie weren't just like completely on board with him.
Yeah.
But then he's like, hey, my dad wanted to rule over the mortal world with all of his spooky, creepy friends.
Spooky.
So then it's like, oh yeah, that is certainly more sinister, whereas in the first movie it just seemed like, yeah, I mean, I don't think the inhabitants of Halloweentown should have to stay here all the time. This town seems pretty lame.
Yes.
And then he says something about, oh, the finale's coming tonight. Something, ticking clock. Okay, we already had the ticking clock, but now we have extra knowledge that, hey, this ticking clock is a real ticking clock where something bad's going to happen at midnight. How exciting. So then Grandma whistles for a taxi because they got to get away. Cal's face disappears from the block. The taxi drives up, and it's Benny. But not the Benny talking skeleton, lame skeleton.
It's like
from the first movie.
Nasty looking white dude.
It's just a skinny, tight-skinned, kind of gaunt-faced guy who I think doesn't remember them.
No.
Which I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, none of the characters really seem like they've lost, like they've all their memory.
Yeah,
all of them.
The cause of the magic is like, the magic disappears from them, so they turn gray. They also turn really boring, and sometimes they forget stuff.
Yes.
So they hop in the taxi, and they bring Luke along for some reason. I don't know if they really spelled out why, but it's like, yeah, he's a character from the first movie. We're going to bring him along. And then they go to Aggie's house, which is still colored. There is color all around the outside of Aggie's house. And then even Luke, I think, gets some color back.
Yeah, he starts to turn back orange again.
Like then it's just very clear that he has gray makeup on, and not so much that they're like grayscaling his figure. But then they go inside of Aggie's house, and it's gray on the inside.
Yeah, they're just kind of saying that like they're thinking the spell's starting to wear off.
Gray on
this
the
is
inside,
when you were in the
cream on the outside.
This is when you were in the bathroom, wasn't it?
So then they immediately try to go about finding the spell book because everybody who has a spell book also has an exact copy of their spell book.
That's right.
So they have a speed up sequence where they start moving really fast and they, talk like Alvin and the Chipmunks. And I said, okay, this is where I go to the bathroom. So I just got up and took a bathroom break, let the movie keep playing. And then they can't find the book. And the grandma says, oh, I haven't used it in decades or whatever.
Damn you, Aggie.
Have they really ever gone into... No, because it couldn't be that she's just in Halloweentown because Halloweentown's time is longer. But, just aging process in Halloweentown happening, the same way for the human world. So Grandma can exist there for years, but it's only, an hour in the human world?
I think so.
Or which is just, immortal.
Well, she's, hundreds of years old.
Is Mom immortal, then?
She's hundreds of years old.
Yeah. It's whatever. Moving on.
Who knows? How old's the mother? Maybe the mother's a couple hundo. Maybe Marnie's a few hundo.
Yeah. Well, Marnie I could see not being because she's only a half witch. But the mom is still a full-blooded witch, I believe.
Yeah.
So, since I can't find the book, and I don't know, they maybe say something, this will maybe come into play later, but they turn Luke back to normal somehow. And he's no longer gray.
Or does he just turn normal back because the spell wore off?
See, I was in the bathroom, so I don't know.
And then that's what they said, he was full, he was back goblin looking, and they just said, maybe this is just a spell that just wears off.
So then, the stakes are very low, where it's just oh, yeah, I guess...
Just wait a little bit, it'll be normal.
Go to normal. Okay, this is very unexciting then. So Luke is back to being like a troll. He's got a big orange mop, carrot
what
top. What
makes sense about it afterwards, and they kind of maybe say it, but I don't know if they do. Maybe just the whole gray is it just a distraction?
No, because at the end of the movie, they have to go back to Halloweentown to turn everybody back to normal. Spoiler.
I don't know. It's just a weird... There's no definitive plan. Like you were saying, it's just like...
But Cal implies that he has everything planned to the nth degree, but at the same time, sure, you can have a master plan when literally rules don't matter.
Yeah.
So then Grandma says, hey, well, you know what? If we can't find it, we gotta go to the place where lost things are. Remember when I introduced smelly old Gort in my first ball earlier?
Yes.
So they go to Gort's house, but they get there.
She says the outside looks a lot different.
Yeah, the outside is just like a normal house, and they knock on the door, and Gort answers it, and he's neither smelly nor messy.
And he doesn't talk like this. He doesn't talk like... He talks...
Well, he talks weird in his...
talks like this. Yeah, he's like, welcome to my home.
He talks in his own weird way.
I've got to sort my socks.
And for my second reference to Twin Peaks, he looks like a resident of kind of the Black Lodge or something. Look up the Jumping Man. Kind of the same idea, like a lower budget version of that.
So yeah. So just like the outside of his house, which was normally just filled with shit, you will open up and see like his dining room and everything's just clean.
Yeah, and fitting with that, when you lose your magic, you turn gray and become boring. He doesn't have any of his mess anymore because I want to be organized, and he has very limited things.
He's sold it all off at a garage sale, except the socks.
He has socks,
but he will sell
machine.
them. He will sell the socks once he makes the matches.
And some books, because they ask, hey, where are your books? But he only has books about making
cooking
tapioca pudding.
It's like, what the heck?
So they're not psyched about that.
He's like, I only kept the useful ones.
Once they find out that he doesn't have the book, Grandma just starts to turn gray, and there's not really a reason why.
So if she was never told that the book's not there, would she have turned gray? Or is it all a placebo?
I don't know.
Is it all just mental?
They eventually figure out how to reverse the spell and also cast the spell on somebody.
And Grandma starts sorting socks too.
Yeah, when Grandma, before she fully turns, says, oh, Marnie, it's probably going to affect you too. But why? If it's going to affect her, why not right now? It's like it's the luck of the Irish thing.
Maybe because
why does the mom get small?
Because she's only half witch, maybe.
Yeah, but it was like, why does the mom get small in Luck of the Irish? Oh, because she's a full Irish person, and she's older than the kid. Well, then why does the grandpa not turn small or leprechaun-y like immediately? Because he invented potato chips, obviously.
Rules don't apply here.
Yeah. So then, as they're starting to freak out, Cal pops up again. His disembodied head is now in a fireplace, and he's talking some shit like, hey, the door's locked, you can't get out of here anymore. He knew about the second book, so he has the second book or whatever. He knows that they can't get to it. He is creating a spell that is turning everybody in Halloweentown into humans, but then he's planning to turn humans in the real world into monsters. I'm having a hell of a time saying real world. And then this also brings in something, oh yeah, my dad's not my real dad. He's like in a science experiment. And previously, when he was leaving the party, Dylan heard, like, ribbiting. And then there was a frog, and it was like, did he turn into the frog? But I guess he left the frog behind. So we'll figure out more about that. But now here's the stakes, is that, oh no, now people in the real world are going to be turned into monsters.
Yeah.
And that includes my mom. My mom may be a bitch, but I don't want her to be a monster, too.
True. Gotta show some respect for the parents.
So then back checking in with Sophie and Dylan and
Sophie.
Mom, basically characters that need to be in this movie because they were in the first movie, but they don't really find very exciting things for them to do.
Not really.
Sophie is looking through Aggie's very thin but helpful picture book about all the residents of Halloweentown.
From the original one.
Yeah. And she finds the entry about golems. I pronounce it golem. I think it originally is like a
golem.
Like a Jewish term. So
it is probably golem.
I don't know.
Well, why is Gollum in Lord of the Rings Gollum?
Well, Gollum is spelled Gollum, and this is spelled Golem. Whatever the case is, she sees that, golems are usually combined of non-normal matter. Traditionally, golems are like rock or clay or something like that. But
this one...
Then there's a picture of one made out of fucking frogs.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very convenient to the exact type of golem we might have, which I would think would be a pretty rare kind of golem.
Yes.
So then Sophie is starting to suspect that sexy British dad is actually a frog golem.
Frog man.
A frogolem, if you will.
Yes, I like that.
Ribbit.
So, which explains the green ice cream.
Yeah, because frogs, they have to eat exclusively green things.
And we've seen the costume yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
The mom has not quite made it to the costume party.
I thought he was
whatever
wearing it
we get to
earlier.
say. He picks her up and he's wearing a full body frog costume.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Because he also has to wear. We do see eventually that he is aware that he is made of frogs, so that's why he's just going all out.
He just doesn't care. Like, yeah, so he's not. So keep that in mind. He's not even a real person. He's just like a
bunch of frogs
golem
combined together.
Exactly. He's a golem.
He's not a real person.
He doesn't matter.
Then Marnie starts talking to Luke about, well, spells. They're probably like computers, so they must have like a back door. Luke's like, your back door? And then
Number 9? What?
Yeah, it's so stupid that Marnie just tries to find her way out of everything. Marnie's just a cheater.
Yeah, so no rules.
We're trying to, hey, you know what? This house isn't, because the house, again, is not letting them leave. So that must mean somebody cast a spell on it, but how can we get around it? Oh, time travel. Yes, because the best thing to use in a movie where rules don't matter is time travel, because time travel movies, there's no perfect time travel movie. Anyways, you can always find something slightly off about it. But if you don't care about the rules, then you can do whatever the fuck you want. So Marnie's asking Grandma for a time travel spell.
Yes.
And I guess Grandma gives it to them and then turns full gray. Yeah, that's right. She like writes it down from memory or something. Then Grandma turns full gray, so she can't cast the spell with Marnie. So then Marnie has to figure out, I don't know, the right intonation or whatever, how to say it, but she screws up because she first just casts it and goes back like 5 minutes. So they're inside of Gort's house and they see their own selves, which is already a paradox immediately. Yeah. Because their own selves are not recognizing that they were there, and it's not like in the original scene there was a sound off camera or something. They're just there and they're like, oh, I guess we fucked up. So then Marnie uses the spell again and goes back, and there was a caveman in the woods, which implies that Halloweentown traveled on a similar trajectory to our world, where at some point there was cave-type people that maybe still had magic powers? I don't know.
I feel like that's just like a goof. I feel like they goofed up by doing that.
Oh, most definitely.
There's not cave people in Halloweentown. So has Halloweentown just always been around since the beginning of time?
No. Because I think in the first movie they say that they used to be part of our world.
Yeah, and then they created like a sanctuary.
I don't know. But then she casts it again, and then they are back in Gort's house.
Yeah.
But then Marnie's by herself, and this time Cal shows up in person.
You figured out my...
Yeah, he does the villain kind of slow clap. Haha. You think you figured it out, but I'm going to be snarky and tell you my real plan and that you're fucked. So he says, yeah, I don't know. He just shows up and is like a dick, but then he leaves. Then Marnie says the spell again, and then she's back in Gort's house. That's messy. And then Luke's there, so they're reunited after like 2 minutes alone. And then Gort shows up, and he's back to his normal, stinky, smelly, jerk self. And he doesn't want to help them, but they eventually convince him to help them.
Yes.
And they are looking for the book, but then they can't find the book. And Gort reveals that, oh yeah, Kalabar, oh, is it this book? This is the book you're talking about? Oh yeah, Kalabar bought that for me like 15 years ago.
I think he said 50.
Whatever the case was, it's some kind of master plan that Cal was able to construct. I guess his dad passed down to him the book so that he knew, and then also explained that this was Aggie's book or something. Because Aggie lost it, which is the only reason why it would show up at Gort's house. Like, how crazy is that? Like, Aggie probably just, like, set the book aside because she had a different copy. Like, she actually lost it. That'd be so inconvenient. Like, if you just lose, like...
The stars aligned.
So, like, a baby. Babies don't have object permanence. If something moves out of their line of sight, they basically feel it doesn't exist anymore. Oh. So if you give your baby a rattle, walk out of the room, the baby sets the rattle away. Does the baby just lose the rattle? So, okay, whatever, sure. We can't find the MacGuffin. Damn it. Sophie and Dylan back home.
Yes.
They need to go to the costume party because Mom is in danger.
But they don't have a license.
They don't, but they have a license to be cool. Yes. And a license to fly. And
apparently rules don't apply, so they're just...
aren't concerned about people outside seeing them flying on a fucking broomstick.
And kids, and aren't they like flying right over people, like almost hitting people?
Yes, they're flying over people and they hit something. I don't remember, like a sign or whatever. They're not being subtle about their flying.
I don't know if people were like noticing them. I don't know.
No, they weren't.
They weren't like reacting to them.
And they get to the costume party, and Dylan was able to be convinced by Sophie to wear a costume. Sophie's
sombrero.
Sophie's dressed as a cowgirl, and there just happened to be a sombrero and a tunic.
And conveniently, they're not wearing masks, except the mother is, as we mentioned earlier.
Well, that is part of Cal's point.
Yes.
Because that damn sexy Cromwell, she wouldn't get with my dad, so now she's going to be a nasty monster.
And she becomes one.
Yes. But not quite yet.
Not yet.
Before we get, probably my favorite part of the movie, and this movie is mostly just low points, but the girl that Dylan had been hitting on a little bit at his party.
What a bitch.
Which, if they hate him so much, why do they go to that party? Maybe like Marnie or something?
And she was, one of the girls was kind of nice to him, I thought, at the party.
Maybe. But they see he's got a costume. He says, "Hey, yeah, I got a costume. Aren't I cool now?" And she says, "What are you supposed to be? El Geeko?"
El Geeko. Love that.
But yes, this girl is a vampire.
Yes.
But a vampire, she just has like a little bit of makeup on and teeth put in.
Teeth.
But I guess that's maybe all it takes, as we'll see in a little while. So they find Mom with Alex, which is, if you didn't remember, and I didn't until I saw it again in my notes, that he is the sexy British dad who is now in a frog costume. They say, "Hey, can we talk to you separate for a bit?" And they tell her that, "Hey, Alex, first off, it's fucking Kalabar, Mom. He's kind of working on us beyond the grave, but we didn't kill him, right? We just sealed him away in an alternate dimension. But his son's fucking shit up." Oh, no, not Kalabar. That was my reaction, too, when I saw the name of this movie. But Mom, sexy British dad's a frog. He's a pile of frogs.
Yes.
Mom is not buying it at this point. Then we see...
that tongue action, I really like that tongue shot.
Yeah, we can just talk about that here, because it'll come up a little bit later, because, you know, they're cutting between the two storylines. But Sophie is able to magic up a fly. To buzz around, and
then the mom's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "Just watch."
She's incredulous.
Just watch.
As a pile of frogs would be, sexy British dad cannot resist sticking out a long tongue to eat the fly.
And munch and crunch.
So then that's all the mom needs to know, and then she casts a spell that reduces him to a pile of frogs on the floor.
Yes.
So then they know, oh shit, something is going to happen at midnight. Oh
and then
no.
This might have been, is this when we see up in the rafters? Or was it?
Well, we can hold off on that for a little.
Okay.
We'll get back to Luke and Marnie, who, through such a convoluted, contrived way, figure out how to reverse the gray spell.
And they go through this whole thing of reciting multiple spells backwards.
So since spells in this movie are just made up language,
backwards.
They can be anything. And yes, sometimes they are. Oh yeah, that was the thing, is they have to like figure out how to say stuff backwards.
Whatever that word, I can't think of.
So then they just are like, and I don't know if it was like they're talking about when Luke turned back or when Grandma turned gray.
Yeah.
But they were tracing back something Marnie said.
And she only knows like 3 words of the spell or 4 words.
So they're like, just like in Halloweentown 1, let's remember things that somebody said. And
trap.
She said, it's a trap.
A trap.
Maybe a spell. And we see Luke writing these down with a pencil and paper in big black letters. It's maybe a trap. And then Marnie is still talking. And then we cut back and he's like, only finished trap. And then moving on. And he's like, you didn't say curse or a charm. And then it's so drawn out. And then
he circles big and bold.
He got it.
A big trap. Trappa.
Yeah, trap. So then they're like, oh, that must be it. What's trappa backwards?
Apart.
So she says apart,
and it turns
at Gort,
and it turns him gray.
Yes, because Gort, they kind of exist. So they're in a time period. It's not clear what time they're in, but it is more than 5 minutes before their time. And
isn't it still like the 50 years where he sold the book? So aren't they still like?
So he doesn't have the book, but it's still not when they're there. It's some indistinct time. So that's maybe how they get around the time limit as far as the time in Halloweentown being different. But time travel should still just be like 0 time then. I don't know. So they turn Gort back, and then they say...
He's like, what the fuck?
They say apart and then Trappa.
They fuck with him so many times.
I can't remember which is which, but they keep switching him between gray and normal. Which,
and he's like, every time he like freaks out.
Yeah, when he
turns
turns back to normal, it's like
why is shit so cold, so
it seems
dirty
painful or at least discomforting.
He does
to
not
him.
like. He's like, stop doing this.
But Marnie, she just doesn't care.
Doing it.
She's awful.
Oh shoot!
So then they get Gort back to he was already normal, but then they're like, okay, now I don't even really remember. Oh yes, the time travel spell that Marnie had written on paper from Grandma is lost, and then Gort says, "Oh fuck, that's super fucking bad." Why? What's wrong, Gort? Oh, you fuck up.
Yes.
They say, well, if it's lost, it just shows up here. And he says, nuh-uh. When I lose stuff here, it disappears forever.
It goes poof. He says poof. Poof point.
Which seems like very easy to do because...
Lucas suggested maybe it goes to Zort's house.
Yeah, or Torg's.
Torg's.
Yeah, because it has to be backwards.
His brother.
Something. Yeah, I would have loved it.
Backwards name. That would have been good.
This movie was already bad enough. It's like, oh, fuck, we gotta go look at this other location for the second MacGuffin. But, yeah, and that's just... So, when they first show up, they're looking for the book, and Gort does not know where it is immediately.
But, shouldn't everything be gone?
Yes.
If he doesn't know where
If he doesn't know where it is immediately,
his
then
house should be empty.
Yeah, it's so, yeah. I don't know.
Poof.
Don't think about it too much. But yes, that is why the spell is missing. So now, just like a little bit earlier, but also in Halloweentown, Marnie has to remember the exact wording of a spell.
Yeah. And she doesn't just... She tests it. She doesn't...
Well, she doesn't... Yeah, she's just trying the different words. She can't remember it all. But of course, all of the consequences are directed at Gort.
So he's getting like little gnomes. His hair is changing pink and blue and
gets
green.
Like a clown costume or something. So poor Gort. Luke is perfectly fine. Nothing's directed at him. I mean, he's already a troll, so maybe it can't get too much worse.
And he just eventually just like sits down in a chair and like she says one that creates like another gnome. And he's like, just not that one again. Don't do that one again.
No more gnomes. It's my one weakness.
Oh god.
So eventually they just give up and Gort says, oh, you know what? We can use my timeline. What's a timeline? Oh, it's something some fucking wizard made. It's some time travel thing that allows you...
I remember him kind of mentioning that. So did the wizard just lose it? And that's how we got it?
Yeah, maybe. Or
maybe they traded?
Maybe Gort, wanted something, so I don't know. But he has it. So then Marnie... It creates like a wormhole. Marnie jumps on a broom that she summons, and then Luke's too scared to jump on, and then she calls him a baby. Oh, you a baby? You want me to leave you here with Gort?
You want your baba? You want a sucky?
And it's like, wow, I really love Marnie. She's quite a sympathetic and relatable character. Yes. And she loves the internet. So then they fly into this wormhole, and the aesthetics, the look of this wormhole is just... I said, if this was even in Xenon,
it's like futuristic movie, it's like a Doctor Who, isn't it?
Yeah, you could say it kind of has the look of the beginning, the theme song of Doctor Who, where it's just kind of a swirling thing. But then there's also a actual numbered timeline within it of like 1400, whatever, they're going down it. So again, it's like the time in Halloweentown fully matches up. Like, is 1400 in Halloweentown
the start?
Yeah, when Halloweentown first started, or because that would have been like at some creation, probably, AD or whatever. So whatever, it doesn't matter. This is another be like, really Halloweentown? So they hop in, and it kind of looks. I thought it looked very vaporwavy, very 80s with this look.
Yeah.
Very out of place in this movie, to say the least.
Yeah, it felt more of a Phil of the Future vibes.
Phil of the Future. Did they ever make a Phil of the Future DCOM movie?
I wish they did.
I don't even know. Was that even a Disney show?
It was a Disney show, but it ended abruptly.
Well, it probably hit the 39 episode limit or whatever.
We'll have to check into that. They kind of just left it on like a hanger, and that was just it.
So back with Mom and the two kids, they are looking for Cal at the party. And then the mom's like, I'm going to put my mask on so he doesn't recognize me. Oh no, but it's getting so close to midnight. So then we see Cal is up in the rafters of the gym.
Yes, the rafters.
So I guess maybe the spell he says is it's related to midnight, but really the countdown of midnight is more just related to trying to get back from Halloween.
And they're like counting down. Is this where they're counting it down already?
Yeah, to make it
and
dramatic.
And they're like counting down like 5 minutes.
Or whatever.
They're like 300.
I think
299.
I think they just count down from 60.
298.
That's still a pretty long countdown for anything that's not like
297.
So he's casting a spell that says, "Oh, we're gonna turn them into what they're dressed as, or whatever."
So this mask they gave the mother is like a green, creepy goblin, orange-haired mask thing, and
she at the end she sees Cal up in the rafters, and she puts her mask up on top of her head.
And he just goes wacka-plaka, and it goes down on her head, and she can't pull it off.
Yeah, he sends some little lightning ray towards her, and then why did he even need Frog Dad to do that?
He could have just had it, and like, you could have just thrown it at her, and that would have been cooler. That would have been better if you would have just thrown it at her.
I mean, of course, the answer is it allows us to have some suspense that we know, oh no, it's not just random nobodies that are going to turn into monsters. It's our mom that we have spent at least 1.5 movies trying to treat like a total bitch that we're not supposed to like very much.
Yeah.
So then Luke and Marnie get back to Aggie and turn her back by saying Aparta or whatever. But they don't turn Gort back.
No, they don't
leave
care.
Gort gray. And literally, they have to say one word, but Marnie doesn't do it.
Does not care.
And then they summon a portal, but it's closing time, and they can't get in. But it's like, so they couldn't get the portal open because of magic?
Yes.
But then why can they do it now?
Because rules don't matter.
So yeah, they open the portal, but it's closing because it's like, oh, it's closing, we can't get in. But earlier it's like, oh no, my magic isn't working. But then they still use magic the rest of the time. I mean, maybe I'm missing something, but I feel like this is one of those movies that we can criticize in a way, and we're not actually just like missing something from being lazy. As I say that with 1.5 pages
the
of
movie's
notes.
lazy. They just say,
yes, the movie is very lazy.
They say that rules don't matter, so they literally can just do whatever they want with the film.
Yeah. And quite honestly, and maybe it's come across in our plot synopsis, but like, just like the original Halloweentown, nothing really happens until at least a little something exciting happens, and then it's...
That's most of the movies, though.
And then we'll see that they solve
That's most movies in general.
That's not true. Most movies have they have act structures.
I should say, maybe I should say horror movies, most of the good stuff happens at the end.
So
not that this is a horror
have act
movie.
Structures, and this movie has an act structure as well. It's just that at least the first 2 acts, nothing interesting happens. The first act is Halloween party. Second act is we go to Halloweentown.
house.
Oh no, it's gray, and we can maybe throw Gort's house in there.
Yeah.
And then third act is, oh, now it's 15 minutes to midnight. There's not really a more exciting way to do this plot. It's just, don't do this plot. Do something more exciting. It's kind of weird where it's like, they kind of have, not limitless possibilities.
So,
with Halloweentown, but...
Was this one that was a book before? I can't remember.
I think maybe Halloweentown
was an actual book and not just the original story?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
But whatever the case, they can't get back to the real world. So back in the real world, all of the spooky party goers have turned into monsters. So it's very haunted mask. People with masks turn into
the
monsters.
Mom has the best. Like I'm not even saying that like jokingly. Like hers is actually like scary. It's like fucking spooky.
Her being a character that
like
we
a
know,
main character.
It makes sense that they put the most time into hers.
She doesn't really have the orange hair though. That's how I was like. No, I didn't get the orange hair, but it was
doesn't
like
fully match her mask.
I don't know how to describe her.
And she actually isn't even a monster that long. She looks like and this maybe doesn't work if you didn't watch the movie. She looks like the boogeyman from Don't Look Under the Bed, but
Boogie person.
Kind
creepy,
of
though, like,
a witch
creepy.
with like a long nose and green, but like fully monsterfied and like claws and stuff. So really,
creepy.
Kind of just a unique design on its own. And yes, it is scary. Sophie is screaming. But also we see the girl that Dylan was trying to get on with.
Becomes an actual
She's
vampire.
a vampire.
Like, what happened to my teeth? They're longer.
But yeah, it is so interesting that...
And some of the people are aware of who they are, what they are.
Exactly.
And some of them are not.
Yeah. And some people like... Because I think they set it up that, the way this spell works is humans make fun of monsters sometimes. And they dress up as them. So this is turning them into what they mock. So that's why, like... Sophie doesn't turn into an actual cowgirl, or the girl dressed as a fairy doesn't turn into a fairy or whatever. But it's kind of... It would have been cooler if everybody just turned into their own costumes.
Yeah.
Whether they were, monsters or not.
Or a mask.
Somebody turns into a ghost. Oh no, I'm walking through the table now or something.
Cool.
But nope.
Somebody
turns into Dunstan.
Oh man. There is only one ghost in the first one, and they use him for his sweat.
Oh fuck. That was the best part of that movie.
That was the sequence
of them.
When they were collecting the items. The fangs, the dentist.
Dentist.
Oh, good times.
You know what? Yeah. I mean, this movie is
Better
worse
times.
than Halloweentown.
Halloweentown had more of its good moments.
Yeah.
I think Gort is the best part of this movie.
Thank God. Thank Gort for Gort.
Thank you for visiting my home.
So then Marnie is very upset that she can't get back into the real world.
And Gort, I just have to say this, he never goes back to normal. He's always just in his depressed, crazy state. And clean, sorting socks.
But then, Luke's kind of just like, whatever, again. And Aggie says, well, you can go back in a year. But that's a year Halloweentown time, because we're making that rule matter again. Yeah. So that could be like 100 years here. Yeah. So, okay. But then Marnie just says, you know what? Fuck the rules. I don't want them to matter here. So she is able to still contact, through the headphone, Dylan.
Yes.
And it's just the end of the first movie.
Yeah.
Where they're combining the Cromwell's magical ability.
Becky Ma.
Minus the mom.
Becky McFeary.
And adding in Luke for good measure.
Yeah.
To undo... So this is just the spell to create the portal.
Door portal. And
this is, again, very much like Rise of Skywalker, where it's like, how do I win against this force? Oh, I'll just use, your lightning towards me. I'm just going to reflect it back you and use, the power of goodness to beat you. It's just, nothing matters. Everything sucks. And, well, it wouldn't be the case with me, but maybe for some people, this movie would be like, maybe Halloweentown wasn't ever good. Well, guess what? Halloweentown wasn't good. But,
some
Rise of Skywalker made me feel like maybe Star Wars always was stupid, and I was dumb for liking it.
That hurts.
And, I wasn't a huge Last Jedi fan anyways, so I was kind of on the outs with Star Wars as it was. But they get through the portal, and then Cal is seeing the portal, and he's seeing the family in the real world touching each other to summon, and he just lets it happen. He's just like, oh, what's that happen over there? Oh, well, I'm going to be spinning this crown on my finger.
Yeah.
And then Marnie comes through the portal and he's like, oh, shit. Fuck. God damn, son of a bitch. And Gort says, oh, fuck, you fucked up. And then he just says being evil again. And Marnie says, hey, you know what? You don't need to be evil, just like your dad. You can just not.
You can just not, yeah.
And then he's like, well, fuck you, I want to be evil. And he has both spell books in his hand. And then he summons very bad-looking evil energy around them that looks just like black and orange CG silly string circling around them. And then Marnie does a very cool witch thing where she just glows.
Yeah, she's
uses
glowing.
Witch energy.
And
because
she just they don't even to feed him. She just takes
She takes the books and then
he goes,
oh
Cal,
no! And he
gets pulled into some
portal?
Energy ball and disappears. And they say, he'll be back. And Marnie says, I know, but I'm going to fucking kick him in the dick if he does. So maybe he shows up in Halloweentown High.
And I don't remember Halloweentown High as much as I remember the first movie. The first movie I remembered quite a bit. This one a little bit, but I don't remember I don't even know if I've seen 3 or 4.
I haven't.
So maybe he's a student.
And while all this is happening, everybody's watching them. Even the monsters. They're not, at first the monsters were chasing people around, but now, the monsters are just, some of them are even, nodding along.
One of them is a minion. One of them is a minion.
One of them is straight up a yellow Cyclops-looking thing.
Maybe this is where the inspiration came from, right here.
Just another reason for me to hate this movie. So then Aggie casts a spell, turns everybody back to normal. Yay! And then goes back to Halloweentown, because it's not something that just goes away. It's not like Jacob theorized that it's just distraction. It is something that continues even though Cal has been whisked away to the dark realm or whatever.
Yeah.
She goes there, just says something, everything turns back to normal. We see the stone block turn into the pumpkin.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Gort is still depressed Gort.
No, they turn Gort back. And then, because the rules don't matter, that's the theme of this movie, is it's broken, so then everyone can come and go to Halloweentown as they please.
That should have been Detour's motto this year.
Rules don't matter. Next year, maybe.
They always have a little theme like that.
So yes, it sounds like it's not even necessarily the inhabitants of Halloweentown. It's just the Cromwell children. They can go back and forth as they please. But then Grandma even says to the mom, well, I'll see you next Halloween. So it's like, wow, Grandma, you can come and visit us anytime. But you're not. A year. Like, she hates her daughter so much that she won't go. And then this is literally, I think, the final line in the movie. Because remember, Marnie's a computer whiz in this movie. Yeah. And she also makes some offhanded comment about the timeline portal. Oh, this looks exactly how Stephen Hawking has described a black hole. So she's also like science-y.
Out of nowhere.
It's not even like...
That's more like a Vadillion comment.
Yeah, and it's not even like something that, oh, it's her Quince personality, because Quince, she was all about art. She wanted to be science, or she was trying to force science, but that was no-go. But then Aggie says, what's this World Wide Web you're always going on about? Does it involve spiders? Ha ha ha. That is the end of the movie. They fade out. They look at...
And so did we.
We see a ghostly apparition of Mark Hamill and Terry Fisher, and we go, wow, this is embarrassing. And that is the end of the movie.
Is that what happens in that?
That is the end of The Rise of Skywalker.
It's funny because one of them's dead.
Yeah. And then, the movie ends, but the one saving grace for this movie, and I'll put it at the end of this podcast, is there's a pretty boppin' rockin' track.
Yeah, not bad.
Something Halloween related that is played at the end.
Jump, the house is jumping.
It's not the same song, but there was some song playing at the dance that presumably was by some Disney-owned or managed girl group. And that was kind of a catchy beat, too. Yes,
some good tunage.
So that was the hotly anticipated...
Cal's Revenge.
Halloweentown. Montezuma's Revenge. I think that's what got Sam.
Oh. Yikes.
So no secret coming from me, but...
Lucas hated it.
So this is another one kind of like... It's better, of course, than Ready to Run or whatever. It's just boring. And it's not a fun movie to watch.
Yeah,
but it's not necessarily like a fun movie to
the first one. Of. The first one had more. It felt more.
There was more creativity.
Yeah.
Maybe it was condensed into just that sequence that I completely forgot happened until you brought it up.
There was more of a threat too in the first one.
Yes, it was very slight and mysterious for most of the movie, but
this one they didn't really have to do shit to beat him. The main struggle of the movie was just the goose chase that Marnie went on.
Yep.
And the first one was more...
It's never exciting when it's just, we have to go get this thing. There's a reason why people complain about fetch quests in video games, is they're inherently boring. Yeah. And when you have your whole movie just be a fetch quest.
And at least the first one, you had to have the sister and the brother help the whole time. You know, they were kind of like asked to do little tasks
this
too.
Was just the Marnie.
Marnie. It was only Marnie. Luke was along for the ride, but he didn't do shit.
And Marnie was definitely the worst part of the original movie.
So this was really all her until the end when they all bake him on and fix the world.
Yeah. And even a late villain like they had in Halloweentown 1 where we don't see the Spectre or whatever for a while.
But like you said, it was more spooky and more kind of like...
We get the villain earlier in this movie, but he's just a sinister teen.
Yeah. An angsty teen.
Very angsty. He's got daddy issues, but he's like into it.
He is. He's like, yeah. It's weird.
So, controversial, I think, for some people. I didn't like original Halloweentown. I liked this one less. And I am disappointed that this is the longest running
series
franchise in DCOM. Yeah, I don't really have anything more to say. So, of course, again, a movie we weren't that into. We ended up talking quite a while. This is
talking mad shit. That's all we do.
A lengthier episode.
We talk shit.
And we don't even have Sam on it. So, once again, we will defer from Lucas and Jacob's story time to hopefully an episode. Maybe there'll just be an episode where I don't take any notes. We just try to go off of memory. Nice. And then that'll probably be a bad episode. We've been a whole new pod.
And we still are. We are.
You can write us about what you think you've changed. You've changed. You can write us what you think we are at awholenewpod@gmail.com. You can't follow us on Twitter at awholenewpod right now because for reasons that I think Jacob is hiding from me.
No, like, swear to God, like, it's the weirdest deal.
Suspended.
Not just ours, like other small accounts have.
Other accounts that Jacob has. And some of Jacob's accounts are a little incestuous. You know, they're kind of liking and retweeting their own stuff.
Not anymore. That was like 5 years ago.
I've at least limited him to not doing that.
It has
a whole new pod.
It hasn't on purpose, and it hasn't.
So I don't know. We're not really clear what the cause is. It doesn't really matter because
it's not banned. It's just
even when the account was live, it might as well.
We're that active, right? Might as well have been fucking.
If when it was live, it might as well have been suspended. So you can't follow us there right now. And
well, maybe you can when you're listening to this. It all depends.
Maybe it'll change.
A whole new pod on Twitter. Okay,
2 days from when we are recording this.
A whole new pod. Check it out.
So as punishment for failing at the one thing I give him to do, we will not plug Jacob's Twitter account this episode because we don't want to see like a spike in numbers and like Twitter will think he's botting or something and then they'll suspend him.
Suspend my main account. Oh my God.
Where do people go for daily fantasy sports takes?
Yes.
And you can subscribe, review us on Apple Podcasts,
Spooter,
Google Podcasts, or whatever
music.
they call their
Google
new
Play
thing.
Music?
No, because they updated the podcast thing.
Right.
I don't remember what it's called. Spotify, you can follow us on there. And, of course, like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, hit it up. Show some love. Download.
13th year still climbing up to 11,000 views.
11K.
We'll finish it here because we've probably gone on 5 or more minutes since I said, let's wrap this up quick. So I think we'll just leave you with, for this one, I do have something to say. Just gonna be short and sweet. Fuck the police.
Wow.
Under a cloak of black and a pointed witch's hat, I saw a face that made a chill run down my spine, and she looked me in the eyes. She must have hypnotized me. 'Cause the next thing I remember, I was there, standing in her lair, watching as she stirred. And then she looked at me and she said these words. I knew that we were bad. Back to, but be careful when you mess with witches brew.
How often do you brush, Ralph?
3 times a day, sir.
Why must you turn my office into a house of lies?
You're right. I don't brush. I don't brush.
Let's look at a picture book. The Big Book of British Smiles.